we got a game one that was another excruciating way to lose. The Thunder questionably playing the foul game too soon leads to their demise. They lose on a last second or a game winning 3-pointer from Aaron Gordon. And then in game two, they just responded. We talked about this before we started recording. If you want to talk about how to respond, that's how you respond. Just like Mike Lowry said on Bad Boys, that's how you shoot. That's how you respond. They won by, what was the final score? They had 120. They were up 48 going into the fourth quarter. Blew them out by 43 points. 149-106 game two. Series tied. Thunder Nuggets 1-1. The battle of the MVP favorite and runner-up. Again, depends on who you ask, who fits which bill. But was game two more indicative of what you expect in this series? And the Thunder were just coming off a long layoff, and they kind of let the Nuggets steal one. And does the Nuggets even win another game in this series?
Well, before I answer that, I actually want to go back to game one, even though it feels like old news because
let's talk about it.
The narratives go, they ebb and flow so quickly between game to game. But what did you think about that? Like the follow up three? I mean, I don't think you and I have ever really had like a full conversation about your stance on it versus my stance on it. But
I don't hate it. I don't hate it. But I wrote a story about what went wrong is the fact that why are you fouling Aaron Gordon within 0.4 of a second of him catching the ball 94 feet away from the basket? The whole point I thought of that was, hey, when this team is getting ready to get into their set to set up a play, they've burned some clock and you foul them, and now they have less time to tie the game. But you foul the two fouls intentionally that they did were within a second. Because again, I broke it down. It took them 1.4 seconds to foul them twice. So two different fouls. They only took 1.4 seconds.
Way too quick.
Way too quick. So now Chet Holmgren is stepping to the free throw line in a terrible position for him. He should make those shots, but he misses both of them. And then they just go and make a play and win the game. I'm not against it because I feel like I've seen my favorite teams have always gotten the game-tying three hit on them. So I am more toward the side, just from personal experience of getting burned, of foul, because so many things have to go right. You have to make the first. You have to miss it the right way the second time, get the rebound, then get it out, and then make a shot or whatever it is. So I've always been in that camp. I could be swayed either way, and obviously it works either way. And I know people talking about it's unethical, whatever. It's strategy. But again, the strategy calls for you doing it strategically, doing it when this team is about to get into their set and not necessarily just doing it to do it, because that's what it felt like the Thunder were doing, which is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, the Thunder, they've been a follow-up three team all year long. Like, this is nothing new. That's Mark Dagnall. That's what he preaches. That's how he wants his team to play. Like, so there was no surprise there, but I couldn't agree with you more that the way they went about it, like, they were
losing.
Right, yeah, exactly. Like, you were trying to preserve time, and it made no sense. Like, I'm like, why are you fouling him? Right, let him dribble around a little bit. Like, again, like you said, let him get into his set and then foul him as they're about. And I understand that, like, players are starting to get a little bit more crafty with trying to get those shots up, but they never call it. They never call that a shooting foul. Like, almost never call it a shooting foul. So I actually thought that they ended up, in return, putting more pressure on their free throw shooters to make free throws than they did Denver, because Denver just has to, okay, you're going to give us a free 2 points with 12 seconds left. We'll step to the line. We'll knock these two down. Then we'll foul you. And now you have to make free throws because you made it harder on yourself. Chet misses them both. He's a good free throw shooter. Chet misses them both. Russ makes the right basketball play. Would have been very easy for him to put his head down back in OKC, try and play hero. I don't think it would have shocked anybody if he tried to do that. Made the right basketball play. Aaron Gordon hit a hell of a shot. So credit to them. Another crazy finish. I personally, I wish that I wish they would get or do away with fouling up three altogether in terms of like the rule. Like, I wish that, like, if you tried to do that, it was like an intentional foul where you get one free throw on the ball back or something like that.
Okay.
Because
just get rid of it. That's fair.
From a fan standpoint, you don't want to watch that. You want to see somebody put up a game tying or game winning three. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to watch them knock down free throws. But
so how do you feel about strategically fouling poor free throw shooters, Mr. Robinson?
I mean, if he's going to airball a free throw and it plays him off the court when he has the highest plus minus on the team, then but unethical, like still unethical.
Steven Adams,
it doesn't mean that I want to sit here and watch the entire game flow get disrupted because it's the disgusting. Second quarter and Joe Mazzulla's like, you got Jason Tatum pointing like, look, we're fouling him. It's like, that's not basketball either. Like, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that. It's the same thing. It's like, all right, well, the guy's airballing free throws and he's shooting like 40% from the line. It makes sense strategically. And if it plays him off the floor, it gives you an advantage, but it doesn't look good the same way that doesn't look good when you're fouling up three. But to go back to game two, I don't think there's anything more to be said other than the fact that that is how you respond. Like, I would have thought the Celtics would have seen I would have thought the Celtics would have seen what happened to the Cavs and have been like, wow, we cannot let that happen to us. Let's not mess around. The Thunder had the advantage of seeing what happened to the Cavs and then seeing what happened to the Celtics again. And they said, we are not messing around tonight. We are going out. We are getting the job done. We are scoring the most points in the first half of a playoff game in the play-by-play era, 87 points. They finished the game with whatever you said it was.
149. Yeah, it was 149.
They finished 149 points. They did not mess around. Can the Nuggets win another game in this series? Absolutely. But, I picked the Thunder from the beginning. I actually picked the Thunder in 5 to win the series in 5 games before the series even started. I could see it maybe going 6 at this point, but I do think that the better team will prevail, and that's the OKC Thunder. Yeah,
better team will prevail, and that's certainly what I expect to happen in that one. I think that the Thunder were due, right? Like, they didn't really sweat. They did sweat. They came back from 29 down against the Grizzlies, and Ja goes down after he had figured them out. And then, that game 4 was a little bit of a close game. But the thing is, they hadn't played in 9 days or however long it had been. So the rest versus rust thing comes, and I'm not giving them excuses. They should have closed that game out. They were up double figures in that game, but they were due for something like that. And another thing we kind of talked about, and this is like, with the Knicks and the Celtics, Thunder, the team with the greatest point differential in league history, they didn't play that many close games. Newsflash. That's kind of how numbers work. I'm not the biggest math guy, but I could figure out that they didn't play that many close games. So probably a good opportunity for them to learn an important lesson in late game execution if they're in the same position in the Western Conference Finals or maybe in the NBA Finals. Maybe they won't be fouling like they're down when they're up by 3 points. And maybe they decide, I don't think they'll go against the philosophy of fouling up 3, but they'll at least tinker some things a little bit moving forward. I would be interested to see kind of how they approached it in recent games. And I would be interested to know why they were trying to foul so quickly. And another quick little time thing, there was the inbound play. I don't know where you stand on this, but when guys get a wide open breakaway, instead of just kind of dribbling it out to waste more time, Shea just dunked it, which, things can happen, right? You could dribble off your foot. You could throw a bad pass and it falls off your hands and goes out of bounds. Sorry, Gary Trent Jr. But those things can happen. So maybe you do just take the points. But it is interesting because he could have dribbled and probably eaten another 4 or 5 seconds off the clock. It doesn't really matter. Again, I think the Thunder win this series. But something else that kind of crossed my mind when going back with all the things that had to go wrong for them to lose that game. That's another real small one.
Yeah. And it feels like this keeps coming back to the Celtics, but it's like, that's the exact opposite of like Boston. This core has played 100-something playoff games together. The Thunder are still figuring this out on the fly.
It's true.
So these are all learning experiences in real time. Like, yes, they made it to the second round last year, but that's, the furthest that a lot of the players on that team have ever been in the playoffs. So, they will learn from the foul up 3 mistake where they didn't take much time off the clock. I do not expect them to go away from that strategy. We'll probably see them do that again at some point in the postseason, but they won't do it the same way that they did it this time around. The same way that, even being up that big in a playoff game and blowing that lead, like they haven't really been in that position where they were up huge, had somebody make a major push and then have to kind of turn it back on and be like,
how do we respond?
All right, let's recalibrate, refocus, try and win this game. So these are all learning experiences for a young team. And it's a big reason why, even though they were head and shoulders the best team in the league, a lot of people didn't pick them to come out of the West. A lot of people didn't pick them to win the NBA Finals. It's because of these types of moments. But we're seeing this team learn in real time. We saw the way they responded last night. I expect them to continue to keep the foot on the gas and win the series, like you said. And these will all be learning experiences along the way. And we're going to see this team be more polished every single game and every single round that they advance.
Yeah, 100%. Learning lessons in real time, which I think is a lot to be said for that, because I think people underestimate the fact that you can learn those lessons. Like, kind of, again, I think back to Kat and Anthony Edwards asking the people, how much more do y'all want us to lose? Like, these lessons that you can learn in real time and you can apply them in the same playoffs. You don't have to just be eliminated in order for those things to come in handy. So I'm very excited to see how that happens with this Thunder team. And speaking of this Thunder team, we are expecting an MVP announcement here pretty soon. So next time you listen to NBA Sound System, we'll probably know the NBA MVP is. And if it is who we think it is, we'll dedicate an episode to him because it'll be a big deal for the country of Canada if it is Shea that wins MVP this year. But also a really major time in the basketball world. We are a few days away from learning who will win the number 1 overall pick in the upcoming NBA draft lottery. So we'll also react to that, and we'll see who wins the Cooper Flag sweepstakes. And we're a little over a week away. We'll be a week away when you hear this from opening day of the 2025 WNBA season. So I'm looking forward to talking more about that as well. So just a great time to be a basketball fan. We got the playoffs, we got the draft lottery, we got the WNBA. What more can you say? That rhyme that I didn't even mean to.
Yeah, selective great time to be a basketball fan.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Again, yeah, great. Yeah,
hey,
that's true.
By the time that, or no, not by the time that you hear this, but by the time we get back on the mic next week, maybe I'll be more with you.
Maybe it will be a great time.
Fan.
It's an alright time right now.
Yeah, it's an alright time. You know,
it's all right.
as a neutral basketball fan, it's a great time. As a fan, not so much. But hey, that's part of it. You know what I mean?
That's the nature of it. You know, it makes the success much sweeter. So hopefully we'll be talking about some sweet success this time next week. Thanks for checking out NBA Sound System Canada on YouTube. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe below and find us wherever you get your podcasts. And on Instagram, we have weekly episodes and bonus content throughout the week.